Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another coffee tasting. My name is Aaron Taylor, and I'm your host. This morning, we are going to be tasting the Microblend number 10. With the Microblend number 10, it's going to be a blend of two small lot coffees. One of the small lot coffees is going to be from Latin America, and the other one is going to be from Africa. And with the tasting notes that we're going to get with this coffee is going to be caramel, milk chocolate, and bright cola citrus flavor. Um, and then we're going to be tasting this coffee three different ways. We're going to be trying it on a French press, the pour over, and then I also have cold brew prepped as well. So we're going to be trying it with cold and then two different ways hot. And the reason why I'm doing a cold brew this week is because our microblend number 10 is actually tailored to be a cold brew coffee. So the specific blends and stuff, it's going to have a really robust chocolatey mouthfeel, and then it's going to have that bright, kind of like citrusy bite, kind of um, like a carbonated soda, like how the carbonation almost is like a bright citrusy flavor, but it's really not. But this has that bright citrusy flavor. Really, really good. So we're going to be tasting it three different ways with the Microblend number 10. All right, so let's get this guy started. And so I haven't tried the Microblend number 10 on a French press or a pour over. I have had it on the Clover machine, and it is really good on the Clover. Um, I'm guessing that we're going to get a lot more of those milk chocolate flavors come through, so much that it's going to actually be bitter rather than sweet. Um, and so that's how the French press is going to impact the flavors on this particular blend. And then with the pour over, we're going to see more of those bright cola like snap flavor come through. So we're going to see a little bit more of that citrus flavor from the cola come out. While over here we're going to see a lot more of the chocolate, the bitters come through from the chocolate. And then while that brews, I'm going to grab the cold brew. All right, and this is my cold brew. And so with the cold brew, so what I did was I pretty much did some math to figure out how much grinds I need to make just a single liter of cold brew, because I don't have a 5 gallon toddy. So I had to. What I did was I took the amount of water, divided it by the amount of pounds, and then got it down to a liter, so I knew how much grinds I needed, and then I steeped my cold brew coffee for 20 hours, 22 actually, in the fridge, and then I tasted it this morning just a little bit, and it was really good. So I'm really looking forward to sharing those flavors with you guys. So yeah, the so with our small lot coffees, what's really cool is they they're basically what they sound like. They come from small lot areas, and so that we're getting specific regions that we're going to be tasting, and so that's why we get these refined flavors in all our different coffees over here, like red berries, cocoa, apricot, and clove. Like those different flavors that we're seeing in those coffees are impacted by the terrain that they're grown in, and then it's also impacted by what's grown in the area as well. So whether or not they're growing tree nuts, a whole lot of citrus fruits and stuff like that, herbs and spices, a lot of that's going to impact the flavor of the coffee. And with our small lot coffee, we're really going to get those flavors come through on our cup, because in a core cup of coffee, like in our bags of core coffee, we're getting um, coffee from different regions from all around. Um, And when you're doing that, you're mixing flavors that different regions have to offer. And so you're not going to really get those distinct flavors come through. Like you're going to get a lot of the flavor that they share in common. So like with Latin America, you're going to get a lot of the caramel milk chocolate notes. But sometimes you get like the wild notes from like Latin American coffees, and the only way to really taste those wild notes is to really get down to the small lot coffee. That way you're getting those specific flavors in your cup and not mixing it up with all the different flavors from around, like say Guatemala. All right, so let's get this pour over started. So the reason why I brew my coffee multiple ways is to really share with everyone how brewing coffee differently with the same blend of coffee really impacts the flavor. And if you don't like a particular blend, it's probably not because you don't like that blend. It's probably because you don't like how that blend was brewed. And through my coffee tastings, I've learned how there are certain coffees that I wouldn't normally go for on a pour over, but I really like on the French press, and then some that I would avoid on the French press and really, really like on the pour over. And that has to do with like the level of acidity or how bold the coffee is. And so for me, I like a nice medium smooth cup of coffee. So the bolder the cup of coffee gets, I tend to lean more towards a paper filter, and then the more acidic a coffee gets, like bright and acidic, I lean more towards a French press in order to bring forward some of those bitters, so that some of those bright acidic flavors aren't highlighted so much. Because I'm not a big fan of the bright acidic flavors in my coffee. So if I have bright acidic flavors, I'm going to try and mask it up with some of the darker notes, and so that's why I would go for a French press. And so it's all personal preference on how you brew your coffee, and it's kind of interesting how I've found this thing for myself where I've kind of built a structure on what I want to brew my coffee as. So based off of the coffee notes on this particular coffee with the caramel and milk chocolate and the cola notes, I think I'm really gonna like the pour over, or yeah, with the pour over, because the it's gonna be really nice and smooth and balanced on the pour over because we're getting those caramel milk chocolate notes with the bright cola. With the French press, that cola flavor is really gonna take a back seat, and a lot of that milk chocolate bitters are gonna come through, and so it's gonna be a really bitter cup of coffee, but I'm not sure how much of those chocolate notes are going to come through because in the cold brew, the chocolate notes come through amazingly. It's really good. All right. So this pour over is just about done. All right. So let's go ahead and try the cold brew, and I've got plenty of it for later too. So I had to brew this in a large batch because there's to take it down to a very very small batch would have been, um, yeah, I would have just preferred to do it in a larger batch because the amount of time it takes. You might as well do a larger batch. All right, so with the iced coffee, you're not gonna get that much of an aroma because when you smell your coffee, the aroma that you're gonna be smelling is purely based off of the heat rising off the top. So I mean, I'm gonna smell it anyways, just because. But I'm assuming I'm not gonna get a whole lot of scent. Yeah, so it's not a whole lot of not a whole lot of scent coming off of it. There is a slight chocolatey smell to it, but let's go ahead and taste it. Oh yeah. So the chocolate flavors on this is so intense. There's so much chocolate notes coming off of the coffee, and then you get that bright cola flavors on the side that you're almost like drinking carbonated soda. Really, really good. Um, this is an exceptional cold brew coffee, and it's very, very smooth too. So it's you don't need to add any cream. It almost tastes as if like chocolate bitters have like literally been added to the cold brew itself. Just how chocolatey this coffee is. If any of you guys are trying to brew cold brew at home, or if you guys have any questions on what I did to brew this at home, go ahead and throw those questions in the chat. I'm more than willing to answer those questions because it's interesting. I'll share the math with you on how I took it down to the 1 liter scale so that I could brew a single liter at a time. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and throw that down in chat. And then let's go ahead and taste the French press coffee. That is really good. And not a whole lot of those caramel flavors coming through in there. I'm tasting a whole lot of chocolate. That is exceptional. If I put like a little bit of white mocha in there, it doesn't need it, but that's like my favorite flavor. So white mocha with that chocolate notes in there, really good. Let's use one of these guys since that one's cold now. All right, so now we're doing the coffee press of the Microblend number 10. All right, so with the aromas coming off, I'm really smelling that caramely milk chocolate sweetness. It's real heavy right now. It smells really good. I'm looking forward to this one. Wow. So the coffee press, it's wild. It reminds me of the cold brew, but hot. Like literally, they're opposite spectrums in temperature, but like the same flavor. So it's if you were to like take this cold brew and heat it up, that's exactly what I'm getting from the French press. I'm getting a real strong chocolate mouthfeel. Like I've literally like had some chocolate melt on my tongue. Like that's how much chocolate flavor this coffee has. And then I get that bright acidic flavor on the sides, like there's some kind of carbonation going on in there. Oh wow, that is good. All right, so now we're gonna try the pour over, and then once we try the pour over, we're gonna talk a little bit about the name Microblend 10 and where it comes from. So with the pour over, immediately I'm not smelling as much of those chocolate notes. I'm getting more of those bright acidic flavors coming up off the cup of the coffee, and that is because less sediment is getting through, impacting the flavor. A lot of those bitters and chocolate notes are going to be in the sediment of the coffee, and the more of that sediment that you get through that comes through, you're going to get more of that. And that holds true with the cold brew as well. Um, in the brew process, a lot of the sediment does get into the cold brew, but that is really good. It's part of the flavor. That's where you get a lot of those chocolate bitter notes that come through. So with this, we're going to get a lot more of those acidic notes that we get from the African coffee. Oh yeah. So immediately, as soon as I sip this cup of coffee, the sides of my tongue are just like lit up with bright acidity. I'm still getting that caramely milk chocolate sweetness towards the center of my tongue. So it's not too intense. And then what's nice about this acidity as well is it's gone. Normally with some African cups of coffee or some of the brighter cups as well, that acidity likes to linger on and it really dries out the palate of your tongue. And so with this particular cup of coffee, on the pour over, it does have that like bright acidic punch, like boom, like wow, like this has got some acidic bite. But then like a couple seconds later, you let your palate wash, and then it's gone. It's not hanging on to the tongue. So even the pour over is really good. I'm not a big fan of that particular bright acidic punch, but the fact that it doesn't hold on and it's already gone is nice because then it makes it for a very clean cup of coffee, very easy to drink. You just have to be prepared for that initial punch, and that actually it reminds me of like an IPA. This pour over because with an IPA, I can um, that very hoppy punch that you get in the very beginning, like it's just like whoa, and then once it passes, it's pleasant, but it's all about that initial punch, and that's what this has. This has like anyone who likes a good IPA beer that's like really hoppy, they would really enjoy the Microblend 10 on a pour over. Interesting. Very good. Very good. All right. So now, with the with our small lot coffees, they all have their own story to tell, which is really cool, and I like to share with everyone. With the Microblend 10, it's all about the name and where the name comes from. So, what the Microblend 10 is the perfect numeric base. And what the perfect numeric base is just pretty much the numbers 0 through 9 or just counting to 10. And so if you're counting 0 as a number, then you would start at 0 and you would count to 9. And that's what this perfect numeric base represents. So like when you have like you go to 10, then 100, then 1,000, then 10,000, 100,000, and then 1 million. Every time you go up a decimal, that's going off the properties of this perfect numeric base of 10. And then even when you go backwards and you go 1/10, 1/100th, you're adding a 0 and because you're going up by 10. And so that's what the perfect numeric base is. And it's very interesting because as I was researching the perfect numeric base, in some cases, um, 10 is just a 0 with a 1 in front of it because when you count on the numeric base, you start at 0, so it would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then 9 is your 10th number. It's it's a little confusing, but 9 is 10 really. But when you get to 10, you start back at 0 and then you put a 1 in front of it. So you start at 0, you go all the way up to 9, and when you get back to 0, you put a 1 in front of it. And then as you keep going up, then you put a 2 in front of it, so on and so on. So that's what the numeric base is. And so like literally when you do a line of numbers and you're starting doing the numeric base, it wouldn't be 1 to 10, it'd be 0 to 9, and then 10 to 19. And that's interesting because as I learned to do a lot of coding in video games, a lot of programs start off this way, like computer language and stuff. 0 being, the base number that everything starts off at unless you manipulate it, and then you can move it up. And so it's very interesting. I thought it was really cool to learn about the numeric base and how numbers work, and then how we've been working with the numeric base 10 um, since ancient human beings. And the reason why is because we have 10 fingers. It's easiest for us to count by tens because we have 10 digits. And so that's where that all comes from. So, if we had 12 fingers, the perfect numeric base for us would probably be 12, and we would be counting from 1 to 11, then adding a. But that would be so confusing, because then you would probably have like a whole complete set of numbers that that are single digit numbers all the way up to like 11, and then you would have a new double digit once you hit 12. And but that's all because of our perfect numeric base of 10. That's why we're single digits all the way up to 9, and then once you get to 10, it's a double digit because the perfect numeric base of the number 10. And that is what the Microblend number 10 is named after. So the Microblend number 10 is based off of the mathematic numeric base of number 10. Very interesting. I thought it was really cool to learn that. Just random knowledge. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, go ahead and throw that down in chat. This Tuesday, we are going to be tasting Guatemala Huehue Tenango, and we will be exploring a little bit more about coffee culture, agricultural science, and the impact of the rust disease in Latin America and other parts of the world where they are being hit by global warming and climate change. And then the following week after that, we will be doing Jamaica Blue Mountain, you guys. So join me for the rest of this month as we explore some new coffees, Guatemala Huehue Tenango and Jamaica Blue Mountain. Thank you all for joining today's coffee tasting. Have a great day. Thank you.